Ryan, Rainbow Six Siege got some DLC yesterday, Operation Dusty Snorts, or Dust Line, or some dust variant of it. We got 2 new operators, we got a new map. The question I want to ask today is, are these free DLC updates good for Rainbow Six Siege? So the new operators, Blackbeard and Val, what do you think about their performance so far?
So far, I like them both. We've talked about how the headshot game has become so significant to the more Twitch side of Rainbow Six Siege gameplay, and Blackbeard is sort of like a bit of an antidote to that.
So he has the gun shield ability that he can put. So yes. He basically has a ballistic shield he can put on top of his gun. It gives him, I don't know, what would you say, like head cover? He definitely doesn't give him body cover like the regular shield guys.
It basically gives him some protection from headshots, and that's pretty good because, as we've talked about, the helmets on these characters are purely cosmetic.
And a lot of Rainbow Six Siege right now is the headshot game. It seems like people have just got that dialed in, and oftentimes gunfights are over before you even know you're in a gunfight. Maybe the gun shield sort of extends those gunfights a little bit and makes him a little bit more of an aggressive character who can take slightly bigger chances.
He can take bigger chances, especially when peeking into a room or in through a window or an entrance. Like, you don't have to worry nearly as much about just peeking through a window and then getting a kill screen.
The other character is Valkyrie. So she's a defender who has cameras. The interesting thing about her is that I feel like she's a really good team player, and she's good for situational awareness. Like, I've had times where I broke out a window and spotted an entire team coming in. But if you're not playing with a good team that can utilize that information when you communicate it to them, I just don't see her as being as good as Frost, who, when you see Frost on the map, you have to be careful because you actually have to go slower, and that changes the way an entire round is played. So what do you think about maybe Val versus previous DLC character Frost?
I actually prefer Val to Frost. At this point in the game, that probably 4 out of 5 times, I'm not catching anybody with a welcome mat. I might get one, and I know one is enough, but most of the time I'm not getting there. And with Valkyrie, I'm getting additional cameras up. You spot somebody, they know they've been spotted, and now they got to go looking for that. It's a good distraction. The cameras themselves are better cameras. They have a 360-degree rotation, unlike the mounted ones. Very wide-angle lens, and they're in full color. The actual danger that I ran into the most is that I had a little bit of a kind of camera addiction, where, Valkyrie comes with 4 cameras, and when you first get your hands on her, you're thinking about where can you put those cameras, and 4 is kind of actually a lot if you're not used to it. And once you get all 4 of them up and the round starts, you're getting in there, seeing how your placement was, and if you have a good angle on things, and you might be dead by the time you're done doing that.
Friendly's victorious. Hostiles eliminated.
So the new map that they've added is called Border. It's kind of a very destructible, medium-sized compound. It's in a Middle Eastern setting. I don't want to talk so much about the map itself because I think it'll be well covered. I would like to talk about how I think that the rate that these maps are being released because of good intentions is not really working for Rainbow Six Siege. They're releasing about 1 map every 4 months, and they're releasing it free to the whole community, which is a great idea because then you don't divide your player base up, especially later in a game's life cycle. But it's interesting because in addition to adding this map free, they also kind of sold people who are passionate about this game a season pass. And for them, they sort of paid for DLC, and now they're getting very minimal DLC. And they're also being kicked into this kind of insane, I think kind of out of control microtransaction system.
Yeah, I get the impression that Ubisoft wasn't comfortable with the idea of an aggressive DLC model, and they wanted to do something that was very light and maybe not expecting it to be a very large community, wanted to run with the free model, and when they budgeted it out, it pared down to 1 map per DLC. I wouldn't expect more than the 2 operators. I think that seems appropriate. Like 2 operators per DLC seems fine to me.
But I think something like 3 maps is standard.
But 1 map doesn't seem right at all, and especially when you consider that map there aren't playlists that we get into. It's not like other games where there's either randomization or a mode type that you opt into. You just play casual or ranked multiplayer. And what we're seeing in a weird kind of irony is the downside of having such a robust map playlist out of the gate in the vanilla version, which we saw with Black Ice, and now we're seeing here, which is you have to luck into playing the new map, and you may or may not see it in a week. You know, even if you're a season pass holder, and to me the one clear perk being that you get the operators for a week without anybody else, you might not play the new map. I think that happened to you last time on Black Ice, where I had been on a yacht a couple of times, and you still hadn't seen it.
So overall, do you think this free DLC model is working for Rainbow Six Siege?
I do not like it. I don't see the clear benefit to season pass holders. Having operators a week early is nice, but that's about it. In terms of all of these extra things that they're throwing out there to purchase, like the charms and the face masks, I kind of like, and the skins too. The weapon skins. I like those things a bit, but for season pass holders, you would think they would comp a little bit more of that and say, hey, you guys get a couple more items as a season pass holder, because those charms, as ridiculous as they look, are also 30,000 renown apiece. That's, for a dedicated player, that's like a week at least. 30,000, you get like 300 a match. So what's the value proposition there? And the benefit for a season pass holder? I don't see it. For the community at large, I don't even think it's enough. Is one map enough to bring back somebody who walked away? And for how long? And a game where in its best moments is tactical also kind of requires practice. And if I've been gone for 2 months and I come back to hopefully play one map and fight to get one new operator, and if I don't have the season pass, I have to pay the renown to get the operator, and then the renown on top of that to get the attachments for their weapons, I think it's just way too uphill. It's not accessible enough. It's nice that it's free, and it's nice that it's available to everybody, but the barrier of entry is still somehow high in an unfortunate way.
All right, well, thank you for joining us in our conversation of the new Rainbow Six Siege Dust Line, out now for everybody. For more coverage of Rainbow Six Siege, stay tuned to GameSpot.com.